Hello and welcome to Best Friends Forever. I'm Rhadia Hersey. Some friendships don't need an origin story because they feel like they've always existed. Today I'm sitting down with the man who shared 30 plus years of life with his best friend, Richard Snapper Washington. Before the loss, before the heartbreak, there was a brotherhood. And this first part of our conversation is about honoring that friendship, what it meant, how it shaped him, and why some bonds truly last a lifetime. Pat, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Rhadia. I'm so grateful to be here. Excited.
Well, we are going to honor Snapper. So Snapper, tell me how he got that name. It's a very interesting nickname.
It is. So pretty much everyone, going back home, growing up back home has a nickname. So Snapper often said that his nickname came from when he was a little baby, his grandmother put some peas in front of him as he was sitting in his high chair, and he snapped at it, and that's how he became Snapper. So that name stuck with him throughout the years. And so if you go back home sometimes and you mention Richard Washington, they may not know who you're talking about, but if you say Snapper, they definitely know who you're talking about.
And you also have a nickname.
Yes, could not have a nickname, and so mine is Putt Putt. And the way I got that was my uncle had a speech impediment. And when he arrived to the hospital, they told him that the baby was named Patrick, and he struggled with it, and he was putt, 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 and they just said, hey, just forget about it. We're going to stick with Putt Putt. And it stuck. So if you go home, they may not know Patrick Stewart, but they're going to know Putt Putt.
So it was Putt Putt and Snapper,
Putt Putt
best
and Snapper.
friends. How did you guys meet?
So we met. So I moved to Shreveport, Louisiana, to the Martin Luther King area, Cooper Road. I was in the north, Grimmie Drive Apartments. Got to school. Obviously, a move is a huge transition for anybody at any age. And when I got to school, brand new friends. I mean, everybody has to make new friends. Well, my brother was automatically on the basketball team, so he took to the teammates and everything else. For me, I didn't have a lot of people, but Snapper was actually on the basketball team. My brother had told him, like, I have a younger brother as well, so he sought me out, and he came and found me, introduced himself. And it's always funny because he introduced himself and I'm like, who is this guy? He's only a year older than me. He's a sophomore. I was a freshman at the time. And he's like, if you need anything, just let me know. And I'm like, sure. If I need anything, let the sophomore know. Okay. But he had this, just this bravado about himself. And I knew he was somebody, but I just didn't know who yet anyway. But that's who he was, yeah.
So he's very charismatic.
Very charismatic, he was received by everyone around him. He just had that aura that he was the man. People respected him, people knew him. He was known in the community. He was doing things at his age that I saw a lot of mature guys not doing. He was replicating that of a young man at such an early age.
So you said you grew up in Shreveport.
Yes.
You moved when you were about 13.
Yes, so I was just turning 13, on my way to 14.
And so what was Shreveport like at that time?
Well, when we arrived at Shreveport, it was it was in a transition. This was when gang violence had really made its footprint in Shreveport. So you had a lot of influx of people moving from California and other places, bringing Crips and Bloods and everything else. Our community took on a lot of Crips. So we had in our neighborhood, we had a separation of Crips in our community from the Rolling 60s to the Five Deuce Hoover. And that footprint brought along gang violence. It brought along drugs. It brought along a lot of negativity that normally didn't exist in the community, but now you have it and you have to deal with it. So you had to find a way around it. Our outlet was sports in many ways.
And so what kind of sports did Snapper play? What did you play?
So here's the thing. Snapper played basketball, and he was good. He was really good. I was in a transition. I was coming from basketball. I was in transition because I no longer wanted to play sports. I was in a very bad place. I didn't want to play sports. I didn't want to play football anymore. I played basketball. Didn't want to play basketball anymore. I was just disconnected. I didn't want to be anything. So I was at a point where I could have fallen left or right. I could have made some bad choices. But again, here's this offer. If you need anything, let me know. So I'm forever grateful that he made that offer. And just reach out to him if I needed anything. I had my brother, obviously, but he was very active in basketball. He always did his thing. He was a standout. For me, it was now I had to find my way. And sometimes you need some friends that are going to help you along the way and guide you along. So that's what Snapper was as well.
So tell me, is there a big moment from high school that stands out for you and Snapper?
I think one of the biggest moments for me, again, so as I'm making the transition, one of the biggest honors that you can have at a high school was you had to be the mister of the school. So Snapper was Mr. Green Oaks. We went to Green Oaks High School, and he was the man. Everybody knew him. So they absolutely loved him. They had voted for him. So you're really getting the community behind you because you also represent the community in many ways. Every time you go out, people know who you are. You go outside of the community and know who you are. So my goal was one day, I was like, man, I'm going to be Mr. Green Oaks. So how do you do that? And it doesn't hurt when the former Mr. Green Oaks before you is your biggest champion. Okay. So he championed me, and going into my senior year, obviously you vote the junior year. He supported me. I won, and the rest was history. So getting a chance to actually follow in his footsteps in many ways and carry on some of the things that he had did, because that particular position, we go out into the community, we go to all the elementary schools, you speak to the youth from high school. So it's a privilege. At the same time, it's very, you have to understand that young people influence other young people, and that's what we did.
Well, I love that. So talk to me about your high school years. You guys are like getting ready to graduate, or he's a year ahead of you, so he graduates. What happens at college? Do you guys go to the same school to kind of just keep the tradition of being around each other? Yeah. Did that continue?
We did. It was unplanned. Again, I was still playing. Now I'm back into sports. So long down the road, I jumped back into sports. So I had a couple of scholarships waiting on me and everything else, but I forewent those scholarships, and I ended up going to the same school that he was at the time, Northeast Louisiana University, which is now the University of Louisiana Monroe. So when I got down there to be reunited with him, well, even when he was there his freshman year, I think that was kind of sort of the influence as well, because either he would come down or we would actually drive up to Monroe, Louisiana and hang out with those guys. And even to see him as a freshman having the same impact on the campus that he did on our high school campus was pretty, it's pretty astonishing to me, because when I get out there, it's like, what do you do when here you are a senior, you're visiting a college campus. How do you know what to do? Well, he knew everything to do, and it seems like all the upperclassmen knew him, even on that campus. So it was kind of like just an easy transition for him, which when I came, made it an easy transition for me.
And so you guys lived in the dorms, or?
So initially lived in the dorms, and then we actually moved. He moved out first when I got there, and then I actually ended up being roommates with him, and that was quite a time. We had some. We had some.
Are there any stories that you can share?
Man, we had some nights. So we had some fun nights. We barbecued a lot, cooked a lot. That was where his passion was really showing to me, that he loved to cook. He was always business minded, but that's when we really saw that he loved to cook. He would just throw chicken legs, thighs, wings, whatever the case may be. If he had it, he was cooking it up. And we who were in the house, we loved it.
You guys ate good.
We ate good. And we saw his passion for it, though, at that time. But we had some incidents where sometimes food got left out, and we would have these people like, look, you don't want to eat that, and some people got sick. So, but that was way after, days after. They shouldn't have been eating it anyway. But we had some good times, party after party, and it's good. So if people thinking they're not supposed to party, you're supposed to, but just make sure you get up the next morning and go to class.
And
that's what it was about. So we had a good time. We knew when it was time to handle business, though. And I normally knew because Snapper played his radio like really, really loud. So when I could hear the music going, I knew it was time to wake up. So it was time to go to campus.
So what was your favorite dish that Snapper made?
Actually, he had so many. So dinner-wise, he actually made the most unhealthiest salad that you could ever.
Tell me about the salad.
Oh my goodness! Everything. It was the most unhealthiest salad that you ever want to eat. It was ranch in nature, but it was house salad, bacon, ham,
Ooh.
turkey. It had your egg chopped up in there and everything else, but it was just piled on, and I absolutely loved it. That was the dinner portion that I would say I really loved. But he made some of the best salmon croquets. He could cook. He really could, and he would experiment. And I loved his experimentation because I was always going to be there to make sure that it tasted right.
And do you know how to cook?
I do.
Okay. So did you learn how to cook? Did you pick up some tips from him?
I did. I really did. I studied what he was one of the first persons that I ever heard to say, he was one of the first persons I ever heard say, if you're not sneezing, you're not seasoning. So
Facts.
I took that, and you know for yourself as a cook, right?
Yes, as a chef, yes.
Yes, so I took that to heart, and I was like, wait a minute, because I always thought I was overdoing things, and he's like, no, this is how you do it. But so we would do that. So I still do wings for Tara and Pat, my wife and my son. So they absolutely love the wings, so they can give that benefit to Snapper. But the other things are just, as a man, I was watching a man cook. A lot of times we weren't just entertaining for, a young lady's gonna come over. We were in college really cooking for our friends, and the guys would come over. We would have these great conversations as men. But at the end of the day, here he is in the kitchen, still participating in conversation and just cooking it up for the brothers. So we really enjoyed that. And I've tried to do that as well.
So talk to me about, I know you went into the military,
yes.
And Snapper actually saved you from a Marine recruiter.
So he tried anyway. So, but yes, so we were at campus one day, and I was having thoughts of joining the military at the time. And I ran into this Marine recruiter, and the Marine recruiter had asked me, did I ever take the ASVAB test? I'd never taken the ASVAB. He said, come by the office and take the ASVAB. Simple, right? Just go, take the ASVAB, we're good to go. I got in the car, me and Snapper, as a matter of fact. He said, well, I'm going to just go down there with you, and I'll sit outside, because that's what friends do. Well, when we get to the recruiter wants Snapper to go ahead, leave and just come back and pick me up. Now, we're in Monroe, Louisiana. Shreveport is probably about like an hour away, a little over an hour. And I'm like, well, why does he want me to leave? That's what we're going to take. He said, well, I have to go pick up some other people that want to take the test as well. So when we get in the van to go get these other persons, we're driving about like 30, 40 miles down the road. We pick up this gentleman. And I said, well, okay, so he's going to come back to Monroe, but we go down further down the highway traveling west. He said we had to get one more person. So we go off the highway into the country. I'm like, man, these guys are really going to get back home late because we're going back to Monroe to take the test. But we didn't. We got back on the highway, and we drove further west, and we ended up in Shreveport. The Marine recruiter got me to take the ASVAB in Shreveport. It was at MEPS, which is the Military Entrancing Processing Station, where you're getting ready to join the military. So I am sitting there going through all the processes, trying to tell somebody, look, I'm not trying to join. I'm not supposed to be here. So I go through the duck walk and everything else. I go through the physical, and finally they get me to the position where now we have to swear in, and I just lose it. I'm like, no, he kidnapped me. Right, so I explained everything to the commander there in charge, and they obviously gave him an earful, and he was mad at me. He did not talk to me on the way home. The other two guys ended up joining, but he got me home, and the whole time I'm trying to call Snapper, he's like, I told you I was supposed to wait outside. So he was that voice, and so every time we would see that recruiter, Snapper had some words for him. So. Yeah,
he saved you.
He was definitely big brother. He was big brother. So big brother, and at the same time, we were able to walk shoulder to shoulder together at the same time.
So I understand he was quite a dresser,
Yes.
and he influenced you on like your style.
Man, everything. So yeah, he was a man. He was in high school with the tweed suspenders and what we call bucks, the casual shoes, and every pair of jabots that came out, he had the jabots. This was when jabot and
Oh
polo.
yes, this is the '90s.
Oh my goodness, yeah, we had the polos, everything, and I was like, man, I want to be like this guy. So we would dress alike. I would just watch his style. Then as he progressed, he would wear, just the hard bottom dress shoes and things like that. So he had it. I mean, he was a dresser. He knew his colognes. So here I'm still focusing on sports a lot of times. So I really wasn't laying into heavy dating or anything like that. But he just showed me how to do it. He just had that persona that you wanted to follow. So I did that even in high school, in college, and even when we got to when I got to the military. So being able to, we went to the mall, going into dealers and things like that and saying, hey, look at this brand, and it may not have look at the stitch of it and things like that. To hear a young man talk about things like that, he knew his fabrics, he knew how to dress, and he knew how to put pieces together. And I just kind of watched how he did it, and I developed my style after that.
Well, I see, love the pants, love the shoes,
He would be proud of this today. he would be proud of this day. I probably could pull up some old pictures, and he probably had the same outfit on at some point. But yeah, he was one of those guys that for young men, you want to tell young men, you are in many ways, you don't want to be locked in, but you are perceived by how you present. So you want to make sure that you're going somewhere, whether it's a job application, applying for a job. If you're going somewhere on a date or even, you want to make sure that you're presentable. And today I see so many young men that go out and the young lady is dressed to the nines and they don't have on anything. And not to take away from the character of the young man, because they could be good, good individuals, but it's like, hey, step it up.
Step it up.
Step it up.
Step it up, men.
Meet her at that level.
Yeah.
She's dressed nice, you dress nice, and you receive differently as well.
So you mentioned that Snapper, he was a good chef.
Yes.
And also like a serial entrepreneur. So what were some of the other businesses that he had? And I know he had other restaurants as well before the one in New Orleans. So talk to me about that.
So actually it started back when we were in high school. So one of the things happened was I actually came onto the basketball team with his influence and a good friend of mine named LaVeldro Simmons. They really pushed me and they got me on the team. And I definitely had to share that LaVeldro story because it's another one of those, because we were all tied in together. But he left the team to go work at a news station. So he was working these cameras and everything else. That's what he wanted to do because he was always wanting to make money. That's one of the things that he wanted to do. And he decided that he was going to go, just bypass basketball, bypass sports, and make money because he liked to dress as well. So he liked to dress. He had this cool little Volvo he used to drive. So it was a little beater, but he would keep it going. But then that was one of his things. So when we got to college again, he starts to experiment with the food, and he just took off with it. So he opened up a restaurant called Roberta's, and it was actually in the mall. And we absolutely loved it. It was just soul food cooking. I mean, some of the best soul food you could imagine. And I will tell this story, and I was talking to Byron about this. Y'all got to meet Byron. He's a wonderful gentleman. But it was next door to Piccadilly. So it's a brand new restaurant next door to Piccadilly. And if you've never been down south and you've had Piccadilly is wonderful food. Well, we were stealing customers from Piccadilly because they love his food that much. So he took it downtown Shreveport. From there, opened up downtown. Then he had a couple food trucks that he was inspired to open, and he just wanted to do more. So he opened up one here in Dallas, Texas, and he was just growing. He had a couple of restaurants that were opened up inside. His vision was eventually, He wanted to replicate his wings similar to Hunt's Brothers pieces. He wanted to go into the gas stations and you just warm up his food and it was going to be just as tasty as like it just came out of his back kitchen. So that was one of his visions, and he worked it as much as he could. So he had a lot of different restaurants. He was partnering with a lot of different people. He was on it.
And he was just doing this in his 20s.
He was doing this.
I mean, that's so young to just be so determined.
He started chasing it early.
Yeah.
He started chasing it early. He was one of those persons for me that that reminded me that I wasn't working hard enough. So if you have vision and you're not chasing it, if you have vision and you're just putting it to the side, we would often talk about, leaving things on the table. I know people talk about it all the time, don't leave money on the table. But when you leave vision on the table, not only do you hurt yourself, but you also hurt other people, because he employed people. He was able to give people jobs, give persons jobs. Oftentimes he would also give people jobs who had backgrounds that wouldn't allow them to work any other place.
Yeah.
So when you leave your vision out there and you don't pursue it, when you leave this place, you don't leave it as best as you could have left it. So you got to pursue those dreams, and he did that.
So when you transitioned into the military, was that him influencing you to go ahead and pursue that?
When I transitioned into the military, he was a champion of mine, because there's always a question mark. Like, am I doing the right thing? It was always he was always a champion of me to push me and to remind me that I was doing the right thing. So one of the conversations that we had, he said, "Put, you just do stuff." He said, "But you don't wait on anybody else." So when I've made up my mind, I have to go. But sometimes in my head, I'm questioning it. And God gave me a friend that was saying, "Hey, it's okay. You did the right thing." So when I got ready to join the Air Force, I left school. And I was on my way home. And I was wondering if I really made the right decision. I'm leaving Grambling at the time. I'm going to join the Air Force. Is this the right decision? And actually, I came down. I spent some time with him. He said, "Man, you're doing the right thing. Go for it." And during that time, my first duty station was in New Mexico. And two people.
And he loved to visit.
He came to visit. He loved to visit. He came to visit. So that was my push. So not only will people push you to go do your thing, but they'll also support you when you get there.
So tell me about some of these visits to New Mexico, of all places.
New Mexico. I absolutely love New Mexico. Shout out to Cannon Air Force Base, Clovis, New Mexico. I've made some of the best friends and who are family now out there in New Mexico. But Snapper and Tara, they were the ones that came out to visit. And Snapper loved it. So I got to tell this story. So we get out to New Mexico, and Snapper was a Crown Royal guy. So he loves some Crown Royal. And I took him to an E-Club. If you guys never been to a military E-Club, it's a little different now, but back in the day, it was the spot to be. So Snapper came on base, and he wanted his crown and coke. But when he goes to get the crown, the person tells him, the bartender tells him $3. So it was, I think they got like a car commercial right now where these car commercials keep coming where the people say, "Hey, I bought it for," and they whisper the price. Because it's so low, it seems like it's criminal, all right. So he said, "Hey, they charged me $3, like they got it wrong." And I was like, "Yeah, that's how much it costs." And he was like, "Really?"
Really?
And he doesn't know anybody on base other than me and my roommate, Nate at the time. He's buying for everybody because it costs $3. He's like, "Look,
Right.
Everybody needs this." So we had such a great time. So he loved coming down for the just to hang out or for the Masonic balls. So we had a great time.
So Pat, tell me about your PSAs and how you were struggling with the decision to go into ministry and how Snapper encouraged you.
Yes. So I've been running from what I would call my call in ministry for years, and tried to wrestle with it, tried to bargain with God to do multiple different things. Maybe I'll just go to the choir, maybe I'll go usher and things like that. So I ran for that for years, but finally when I did hit the brakes and accept my calling, I was wondering how was I going to be perceived? How was I going to be able to do things? I was already working in my PSAs, writing what I would call spiritually, sound, little messages, and Snapper would just encourage me to keep on doing it, keep on doing it. So when I finally did break down and I accepted my calling, I was wondering, how is everybody going to look at me? I'm going to have to change. And I remember making that call to him, and I said, look, I'm going to have to change. I don't know how people are going to perceive, knowing, some of the things we did in our background. And he said, well, you don't have to change for me. I know who you are. And that was so, it was comforting to me at the same time. But the truth is, people already know who you are. That's why they're with you in the first place. And for me, it was simply a matter of a change of venue. Things that we had used to do, we didn't change what we did. We just changed the venue. We were always supportive. We were positive. It was just a matter of now I had to stop doing some of the things that I used to do on a larger scale, on a more secular scale. So, but having his support and encouragement to go forward and just do that thing. And one of the things he said was, look, man, I'm happy. And it messed me up. And I said, well, what are you happy about? He said, look, because I know when I die, I'm going to have a real one over me during the funeral. And I was like, dude, we're not even talking about that type stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he encouraged me. He encouraged me in that way. So when I accepted that call, I could go full on because I had the support of the people who really loved me.
And Snapper actually lived here in Dallas.
He did.
So do you have any PG stories that you can tell?
PG, you know what? And it's funny. I have a story, and because we lived in this area, he lived in this area, so I would come down in New Mexico and see him all the time. And he was a ladies' man at the same time.
Okay.
We'll say that he was a ladies' man. So we were. He had picked me up from the airport, and when he picked me up from the airport, there was a young lady that was with him. So we're riding, having a good time, and we were going to head back to his spot, and it was night. And we were coming through his parking lot, and we were getting ready to park at his apartment, and all of a sudden, he just slams on the gas. And we're talking about speed bumps and everything. I'm like, hey, what is going on? It's late. It's about like midnight. Like, I don't know what's going on. And now we're doing probably like about maybe 45, 50 in the parking lot. And all of a sudden, I see these lights come on in the parking lot, and they're chasing us. And I don't know what's going on. And he was like, oh, no, it's her. And I don't know who her is. And this young lady's in the car. And so we're just literally going in a square, just driving around the square. But when we get to the corner, he asked the young lady, look, when we get to the corner, I need you to jump out. Yes. And we made the corner because now the car that's behind us can't see us. And as she jumps out, she does this tuck and roll, like, she's on, the Fall Guy or something. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm looking out the window like, oh, that's going to hurt. So, so we make the block and fine. We come back to his apartment, and the young lady jumps out. She said, I know it was a girl in here, this and that. And he's like, no, it's nobody but Put. It's just Put. So I'm like, you know what? I just came from, New Mexico. I just wanted a break, vacation. I'm going to leave you to this. She's like, well, she must be in the house. And he said, well, how do you know somebody even here from me? He said, because it's this car out there and it has a sorority plate on it. Mm-hmm. And Greek sorority, female Greek sorority. And she identified it. That must be for you. So I was like, nope. I'm going in the house. So I go in the house, march on upstairs, get the keys. He says, look, I don't feel comfortable with you coming in the house. So they leave. Now, when he leaves, I go on the other side of the apartments because now I got to go find the female that did the tuck and roll. And I found her, kind of patched her up, got her stuff together.
Yeah, patched her up.
I patched her up. She scarred her knee. She knows who she is, and I love her to death. But she went ahead and she headed home. Well, I'm sitting this is still like 1999,
mm-hmm.
So we still have the voicemail, 1999, 2000. They have the voicemails, the old school where you could hear people leaving the message, right?
Uh-oh.
So it's the phone is ringing, but I'm like, I'm not answering the phone, but they're gone. And this voice comes through the voicemail. And all I hear is, and I have to do this, he says, hey, this is Snapper. Hey, get out the house. It's about to go down. And what he had did was he couldn't get in the gas station. So he went to the gas station, went to the window, and he asked the gentleman that's working at the gas station, could you please call this phone number? And so I'm like falling out laughing because I'm thinking that might be what's happening, and it actually was.
Oh my
so
goodness.
He was basically trying to give me a warning that they were on their way back. And finally, when they got back, the young lady walks in. She's still looking. She's like, look, I know you heard all this noise, but you ain't sleep. But I was like, you're right, but I'm not in it. So yeah, but that's the type of stuff we kind of look back on and just laugh. Yeah, and that's to include the young ladies that were involved as well. And I'm still friends with both of them.
Well, I'm glad to know that she healed all of her wounds.
She healed.
You know, jumping out the car and moving car.
She is healed and happily married,
Okay.
so she's doing wonderful.
Good.
Yes.
And so, what do you think the best advice Snapper gave you?
Marry Tara.
That's a good man.
Yeah,
See?
yeah.
We love Tara.
Yeah, he absolutely loved my wife. He loved her to death. He was just 100% behind her. And one of the things that he always said was I was different with her. And that different was I was more driven. I was more locked in. So having taken trips with her, having watched me with in other relationships, not that the other relationships were just horrible, but he saw a difference when I was with her. And I guess, to truly say, like Fabulous says, you make me better, and you want somebody. And he knew that I needed somebody. I knew that he needed somebody that would make us better. And that's what men are supposed to do. Too many relationships among men. I see these relationship podcasts now that are just damaging.
Trash.
They're trash.
Yeah.
They're so damaging to relationships. We had real brother conversations to say, don't do that. Don't say that. Hey, go fix that. So that was the thing. He absolutely loved her. He saw how I was better, when they were in New Mexico. And he loved us. He really did. Yeah.
Well, Snapper sounds like he was an amazing human being.
He was.
Yeah. And when we come back on our next episode, we are going to talk about how Patrick is honoring Snapper's life.
At that time, all we heard was Snapper had been shot. We didn't know fully what the details were, and it was hard. It just rocked my world, and things haven't been the same. Life changed on that phone call.